The holographic message flickered to life across every screen in the Galactic Council chambers. Ambassador Elsa stood perfectly still, her expression unreadable as the Zytharian High Command delivered their declaration. Around her, representatives from a dozen species whispered in alarm, their translator devices crackling with panic. The Armistice of 3,500 years is hereby dissolved, the Zytharian warlord announced, his 6 eyes gleaming with what he assumed was intimidation. Humanity has grown complacent. You have forgotten what war truly means. We will remind you. Elsa's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. It was colder than that, more dangerous. Forgotten? She said softly, her voice carrying across the sudden silence. Oh, my dear warlord. We haven't forgotten. We've been waiting. The Zytharian's confidence faltered for just a moment, but he pressed on. Your species has lived in peace for millennia. Your warriors are myths. Your weapons are museum pieces. You are soft now, human. Weak. Elsa glanced at her wrist display where a single name pulsed, Commander Ferret. She tapped it once, then looked back at the hologram. You're making a terrible mistake, she said. But I suppose you'll learn soon enough. The transmission ended. Chaos erupted in the chamber. 3,000 light-years away, Commander Ferret stood in the observation deck of the UNSS Remembrance, watching the stars with eyes that had seen too much and remembered everything. When Elsa's encrypted message arrived, he read it without expression, then turned to his second-in-command. Wake them up, he said quietly. Sir, all of them? Ferret nodded. Every single one. It's time they remembered what humans really are. The officer paled but saluted. Within hours across human space, ancient protocols activated. Bunkers that hadn't been opened in 35 centuries unsealed. Shipyards that had produced nothing but civilian vessels for generations began retooling. And deep beneath Earth's surface, in chambers that most humans had forgotten existed, the old guard began to wake. They were veterans of the Great Silence, the war that had nearly consumed the galaxy before the Armistice. They had been placed in stasis, preserved against the day when they might be needed again. Humanity had hoped that day would never come, but they had prepared nonetheless. Because humans never truly forgot how to make war, they simply chose not to. The Zytharian fleet struck first, confident in their superiority. They had studied human defensive positions, analyzed their patrol routes, calculated their response times. Everything suggested an easy victory. They were not prepared for what happened next. The human ships that met them weren't the sleek exploration vessels or lumbering cargo haulers the Zytharians had observed for centuries. These were darker, meaner things, pulled from hidden reserves and crewed by people who moved with lethal precision. The Zytharians' opening salvo was devastating, destroying 3 human vessels in the first exchange. Then Ferret's voice echoed across all frequencies. This is Commander Ferret of the United Nations Star Service. You have 30 seconds to withdraw. This is your only warning. The Zytharians laughed. They did not withdraw. 29 seconds later, the human fleet opened fire, and the Zytharians learned the first terrible truth about humanity. They had spent 3,500 years not forgetting how to fight, but learning how to fight better. Human weapons technology had never stopped advancing. They had simply been recontextualized. Mining lasers that could crack asteroids, fusion drives that could be overloaded into directed energy weapons, nanofabrication systems that could produce ammunition faster than any enemy could expend it. Industrial might that had built 1,000 peaceful worlds now turned to a single purpose. The Zytharian fleet broke within an hour. Those who could flee did. Those who couldn't surrendered. It was only the beginning. Back at the Galactic Council, Elsa watched the battle reports with that same cold expression. The other ambassadors stared at their displays in shock. The Karathi ambassador, a crystalline being who had always been friendly with humanity, approached her carefully. Ambassador Elsa, it said, its voice chiming with concern. We did not know. We had no idea humanity still possessed such capabilities. Elsa turned to face the council. You want to know what we've been doing for 3,500 years? She asked. We've been building, creating, growing. We've terraformed worlds, cured diseases, explored the unknown. We became artists and philosophers and dreamers. She paused. But we never stopped being survivors. We never stopped being human. Another message arrived. Ferret's face appeared on her display, and she could see the weariness in his eyes. the old pain that came from doing what was necessary rather than what was wanted. The Zitharian High Command is requesting terms, he reported. Unconditional surrender. Accepted, Elsa said. Begin the occupation protocols. Rules of engagement remain strict. No civilian casualties, no unnecessary destruction. We're not monsters, Commander. We're just very, very good at war when we choose to be. Farhat nodded, understanding perfectly. Ma'am, the old guard is asking if this means another 3,500 years in stasis. Elsa looked at the assembled ambassadors, at their fear and newfound respect. Tell them we hope so. Tell them we pray so, but tell them we'll be ready just in case. She turned back to the council. The armistice is over, she announced. But humanity offers a new treaty. Peace, trade, cooperation, everything we've built together over the millennia. All we ask is that you remember this moment. Remember what humans are capable of when pushed. And choose wisely. The silence was absolute. Finally, the Karathi ambassador spoke. We remember, Ambassador. We all remember now. Elsa's cold smile softened just slightly. Good, she said. Then perhaps we can get back to building something better. Together. But deep in the bunkers beneath Earth, in the shipyards of Mars, in the hearts of every human who had answered the call, a simple truth remained. They would never forget. They would never be unprepared. They would hope for peace, work for peace, die for peace if necessary. But they would always, always be ready for war. Because that was what it meant to be human. To be both the dreamer and the warrior, the builder and the destroyer, the hand extended in friendship and the fist clenched in defense. And the galaxy would never forget again.